Blood for money. Emeka had just collected his freedom and his reward after 10 years of serving his master. As he walked along the narrow road with the money in his hands, a masked man suddenly stepped out of the bushes and pointed a gun at him. "Drop the money," the man ordered. Emeka froze. Then he slowly shook his head. 10 years, he said. 10 years of suffering and slavery. I just collected my reward today, and you want to take it from me? It's not possible. He paused and added, "If you want the money, then kill me." The robber's finger tightened on the trigger. Emeka laughed softly. "I don't even believe that gun is real," he said. "It's a toy. If you want me to believe you, test it on my leg." The robber hesitated for a moment. Then the gun spoke. Pain tore through Emeka's leg, and he screamed. The money slipped from his hands as he fell to the ground. He clutched his wounded leg with both hands, crying out in pain, and watched helplessly as the robber ran away with the reward of his 10 years of suffering. The injury did not matter much to Emeka. All that mattered was the money, 10 years of hardship, gone in the twinkle of an eye. Where do I start from? What do I do? He thought. Just a few minutes earlier, he had been happy, believing his life had finally changed. Now, everything had turned upside down. It felt as though his whole world had crumbled before his eyes. Weak and helpless, he kept staring in the direction the thief had gone until the man disappeared completely. Yet, despite everything that had happened, Emeka had noticed something strange and particular about the thief. Emeka lay on the hospital bed, receiving treatment, but the voice of the thief kept ringing in his ears. Whenever he closed his eyes, all he saw was the thief, and the mark he had noticed on the man's fingertip, a deep cut. He began to see everyone around him as a suspect. If someone had a similar height, that person became a suspect. If the voice sounded familiar, the suspicion grew, until he came closer and something proved him wrong. Emeka was slowly losing himself. The money that was stolen was not just money, it was his years of service, his loyalty, his youth, and his future. Everything he had given was gone with the stolen money. After a few weeks, he was discharged from the hospital. He stayed indoors most of the time, lost in thought. To forget what had happened, he turned to drinking until he was completely numb. Despite many efforts from family and friends to help him move on, Emeka remained broken. Eventually, he gave in and decided to attend a church. On his first day at the church, a member stood up to give a testimony. "I was a thief, a chronic one," the man said. "I carried guns and robbed countless times. I never shot anyone during those robberies, until the last one. It was a huge amount of money, and I was forced to shoot the man in the leg. When I saw the pain on his face, I was touched. I felt terrible. That day, I decided to stop. Since then, God has helped me, and here I am today, a new creature in Christ. I no longer rob people. I have found Christ." Emeka froze. He fixed his gaze on the man. The man was about the same height as the robber who attacked him, or so Emeka thought. The more he listened, the more the voice began to sound like the robber's voice. Emeka suddenly shouted in fury as he pointed at the man giving the testimony. "Hey, you thief! So you think you can escape with my hard-earned money?" Everyone turned toward Emeka in surprise. Even the pastor looked at him in confusion. Emeka continued as he walked closer to the man. "After stealing from me and injuring my foot, you think you can now give your life to Christ and be free? That is not possible. Even God cannot save you." The man replied calmly, "I don't think I have ever met you in my life. As a matter of fact, the only person I have ever shot was a woman, and she was the last person I robbed. Not a man like you. So it is definitely not you." This response only made Emeka angrier. "Why are you lying?" he shouted. "I thought you said you had repented. Why then are you lying? You are the same height, the same body size, and you have the same voice. Do you think that because you wore a mask that day, I wouldn't recognize you? You may deceive everyone here, but not me. All I want is my money. Pay me back, or blood will flow." The church members tried to calm Emeka down, but he refused to listen. Suddenly, his eyes fell on the man's finger. The deep cut mark he had noticed on the robber's finger was not there. At that moment, Emeka realized this was not the same man. Slowly, he calmed down, and out of shame, he turned and walked out of the church. Emeka was arrested for fighting a total stranger on the street. He had mistaken the man for the robber who attacked him because they looked alike. Later, he realized he had been wrong. He spent a few hours in the police cell before someone came to bail him. As the police officers escorted him through the passage of the cell area toward the charge desk, Emeka noticed someone inside one of the inner cells, a maximum security cell meant for hardened suspects. The man looked exactly like the robber. He had the same height, the same body build, and then he waved at Emeka. That was when everything became clear. Emeka saw the mark on the man's fingertip, the same mark he had noticed on the robber's fingers the day he was attacked. He was certain now. Emeka stared at the man intensely, his heart pounding. But he was being bailed and was about to leave the station. He had to act fast. Thinking quickly, Emeka did something reckless. He beat one of the police officers on the neck, so hard that blood began to flow. Enraged, the officers dragged him back and threw him into a stronger cell, the same maximum security cell where the man was being held. Emeka felt a surge of relief. His plan had worked. As he entered the cell, the man looked at him and smiled. Emeka did not smile back. He stared at him with pure fury burning in his eyes. The cell was filthy, foul-smelling, and crowded with prisoners, but Emeka did not care. All that mattered to him was the man who had robbed him. He kept staring at him, his anger growing with every second. "Hey, you! Come over here," the leader shouted, pointing at Emeka. "Hey! You there!" But Emeka was too absorbed in staring at the man he had already concluded was the robber. He didn't hear the call. Suddenly, a hard slap landed on his face. Before he could regain his balance, another slap struck the other side of his face. Emeka clutched his cheeks and winced in pain. He turned in shock to the man who had slapped him. "Are you deaf?" the man barked. "Can't you hear the captain calling you?" Emeka, remembering what he had suffered in the previous cell, didn't want to go through that again. He quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, sir. I was absent-minded." The man ordered him to kneel in front of the captain and apologize properly. Emeka did exactly as he was told. He knelt down and apologized. Despite his apology, Emeka was beaten mercilessly. He was given several punishments. Even while being punished, his eyes never left the man he believed was the robber. He barely cared about the pain he was going through, his mind was focused on how he would confront him. After the punishment, Emeka walked straight up to the man and asked, "Do you recognize me?" Without waiting for an answer, he continued, "I'm the man you robbed a few months ago, the one who asked you to shoot him in the foot just to prove that the gun was real." The man stared at him in shock. "Young man, I don't know you," he said calmly. "I've been here for more than 2 years, and I have never shot anyone. I have never robbed anyone either. I was brought here for a different reason, one I am even innocent of." Emeka grew angrier. "You liar. Do you think you can fool me? I recognize your voice, it's exactly the same. Your body size is the same, and to crown it all, I can see the deep mark on the tip of your finger. You can't deceive me." The man looked at him in utter shock. Emeka tried to strike the man with a hard blow to the face, but before he could do so, the capon caught his fist. "I heard your conversation," the capon said to Emeka. "I know how you feel. But you said it happened only a few months ago, and this man has been here for over 2 years. So it is clearly not him." Other inmates who had been in the prison for years also confirmed that the man had been there for more than 2 years. Emeka felt defeated again. Just when he thought he had finally caught the real thief, he realized he was wrong once more. The man Emeka had suspected tapped him on the shoulder and said, "This is not the end of life. At least you still have your freedom. I have been jailed here for a crime I know nothing about, yet I still hope that one day the truth will prevail. How much more you? Once there is life, there is hope." At that moment, It dawned on Emeka that he had been traumatized psychologically and that he was never going to find the thief. When Emeka was released, he went for therapy. He regained his sanity and started life afresh. He began hustling again from scratch and let the past go. The words of the prisoner, "Once there is life, there is hope," kept him going. Even though he had finally healed, there were moments when he remembered the money he lost after 10 solid years of suffering, and he felt a slight pain in his heart. But then he remembered that he still had his freedom and his life, and that made him realize there was still hope.